Welcome to Connoisseurs Conversations. I am Red Alert.
Real insight.
And today we have a new drink, something that I'm not familiar with, but I'm familiar with the brand, but I'm not familiar with this particular version of it. So what do you got here?
So we got Pinhook, which is a very good bourbon, man. And so we did Pinhook once before, if you know Blanton's. So Blanton's is a bourbon as well, where you can collect the tops, the different type of tops that's on it. You can do the same thing with the bottles, with the
Pinhook?
with Pinhook.
Okay.
So they got different grades of bottles. So this is one of the better ones. This is the vertical series that's aged at least 6 years.
Okay.
So this is a nice one. So if you get on that nose right there, you can smell the vanilla, the caramel, the brown sugar, the bacon spice, and the oak, and the light citrus a sweetness to it. The palate, that taste, you can taste that hints of sweet caramel and toffee, vanilla, cherry, and cinnamon on there as well. Now, this is one you want to sit for a while.
Okay.
When I say for a while, 2-3 minutes, because it does have that spice on it. That is a signature of Pinhook, that it has a spice to it, but it's a purposeful spice that adds to the integrity of this particular.
And if I remember correctly, the last time we had the Pinhook, the spice hit right at the front.
Yeah.
And then it kind of mellowed out and you could taste the rest of the notes and all that kind of stuff. And it was pretty good.
Yeah. I would not start a novice off with this one.
No.
Because it's a complex bourbon for someone that has been drinking bourbon for a while.
And I think that you hit the nail on the head. Complexity. That's what when I'm drinking.
Yeah. But it's one of those, man, that you drink and you kind of sip it. It gets better with every single sip to it.
Let me just jump into it, man. We had at this time that we're doing this particular recording, a lot of changes taking place, and a lot of people who we looked at as being stalwarts in particular music or particular genres are transitioning on to become ancestors.
Right.
I think we just heard Peebo Bryson pass away.
Yeah.
Earlier this year, Africa Bambaataa passed away. Most recently, Sonny Rollins, saxophone colossus, who was the last of the, I'd call the golden age of jazz, passed away. As a matter of fact, there was a picture that was taken in Harlem that had all the great jazz players, Duke Ellington, Cab Calloway, Sonny Rollins, and all of them were in this particular picture that they took. Yeah. And they actually updated the picture in the early 2000s, and it was only a few of them left. But then with the passing of Sonny Rollins, all of those people who were in that picture have passed on, and it really kind of marks
every last one of them, right?
Every last one of them. It marks the end of an era. And in that picture, you had Ella Fitzgerald, you had all the greats of the particular time.
Yeah.
It marks the end of an era. And it's a curious thing because everything has to have a start and a finish. Everything has to come to its end. The book of Ecclesiastes in the Bible talks about, change being always present. There's a season for everything. Yeah. But even going back to Africa Bambaataa, that was the end of an era for hip hop. That was one of the pioneers of what we grew up on in hip hop. Yeah. And there'll continue to be transitions. I guess the curious thing to me is, is it a time to be sad? Is it a time to reflect? How do you handle transitions in the end of eras?
I think you got to be ready. You went biblical. I mean, you think of Abraham, then Isaac, then Jacob, and so God always has someone else ready to take the lead. You think of Moses and then Joshua. Yeah. Joshua was the one that took the Israelites into the promised land. And so I think that we got to give the legends credit for thinking about the future, just like we do with our families, right? We know we're not going to be here forever. So we have life insurance, we have investments, we have those conversations. My dad, greatest man ever, who passed on, when he knew he was going, he pulled me in and we had a conversation. John, this is here, this is there. Make sure this, your mama needs you this, blah, blah. So I believe those conversations have had, and we could see that in the fruit when we look at the next generation of music in this particular situation.
And I think one of the things you said earlier is legacy. I think it's important for those elders and those people who started something to leave a legacy. Yeah. And as I think more about it, when you're trying to leave a legacy, it's not just, telling somebody, yep, this is jazz. Yes, this is hip hop. Yes, this is the family name,
Hmm.
it's explaining to them how you got to where you are.
Yeah.
Pitfalls, triumphs, the whole nine, so
Yeah.
that they can learn from that, build on that, and be ready to take that to the next level.
Yeah.
To me, that's all a part of legacy.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, if you look at, let's just say rock for instance, so you look at the pioneers there. When you look at, Buddy Holly, and then Richie, Valens, and then
Mhm.
when they went on at that time, you thought that was it, but then here comes Jimi Hendrix, here come Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, and so I think that it's a part of life where that happens. You look at the R&B Foundation, look at Sam Cooke when he drastically passed away the way, he thought it was over. Then Otis
Yeah,
Redding,
he was,
he left too soon.
and both of them were in their early 30s, I think,
Jackie
when they passed
Wilson
away. Yeah, Jackie Wilson.
and Ray
Yeah.
Charles. I mean, he was older, but then, the 70s, Marvin Gaye, Donny Hathaway, Curtis Mayfield, Barry White, so the next generation comes, but I think it's the onus, the responsibility is on them when they know their time is coming to groom the next generation.
So
And
some of
not
the,
be selfish.
but some of those guys didn't know that their time had come, and I think this is a piece that is probably important,
Good point.
but not necessarily highlighted.
Oh,
There were people who were documenting what was going on. The
mhm,
artist may not have been, taking care and documenting what was going on, but there was somebody taking pictures. There was somebody who was telling the stories. There were
mhm,
people who were writing, articles and so forth about it. There were people who were actively engaged in making sure that they captured
right,
the moment.
right.
And if you're not careful, you'll end up with a situation where your history is not being told correctly or accurately because you didn't do a good job of documenting it.
Yeah. And I think the onus is also on the younger generation, not just the old. You got to go back
You
and
got to
get
go
it.
back and you got to do your
You
research. You
got
got
to
to
do
do
your
your homework.
research, right?
You got to,
Right.
realize who was there before you and make sure you take that into account.
So all my sons are young, but when they looking for jobs or looking for opportunities, and they say, well, I said, did you contact this person? Yeah, I text them, but they didn't call me. Well, you need them. They don't need you. Right. And so you may have to call them 10 times. And I told this story. This is embarrassing story about me. But when I was got out of college, I started working with Sears and Roebuck. They had
Hmm.
a national management training program. But my dad actually had some connections, got me an interview with General Motors. So I did well. Long story short, I went through the training process, the assessment program, and they said, well, we're going to get back to you in a couple months. I was working at Sears in Beaumont, Texas. I bullshit you not. I call that recruiter every single day. You hear me?
Hmm.
For 2 months, Monday through Friday, I was too young and dumb to know that I was, I was,
Harassing
yeah,
them about
harassing.
whatever. Yeah.
But when I got the job, he made sure to call me first thing because I wanted to tell you, you got it. And I believe part of that was my persistence. And I'm not saying that for praise. I'm saying that I was desperate. I wanted it. And I was crazy enough to call him every single day to see what my status was. And I think from a music perspective, if you love it like that and you have that kind of talent, you got to seek it out. And I think if you seek it out, God makes those opportunities for us to be able to have those great encounters.
Mm.
I think it's the responsibilities on both sides. Like you said, with um, Otis Redding and Sam Cooke dying too soon, it just wasn't them though. I just named them. So it's a whole village of people that's reaching out to the
Yeah.
younger generation and younger
You,
generation
you
reaching
think
back, right?
with Sam Cooke, he had already started working with Bobby Womack and the Womack brothers and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So he had a legacy behind it. With Otis Redding.
Right.
Not all of them died in the plane crash. He still had members of the band who only one survived. Okay.
Yeah. So that whole you're talking about, what's the band again?
Barcades.
The Barcades.
It was Barcades.
The
Okay.
Barcades. So the Barcades was the background
Yeah.
band for Otis Redding. So all of them died but one person. And so they started a new band with that one person, then the rest of them. But like I said, the 70s, to just naming a few, Marvin Gaye, Donny Hathaway, Curtis Mayfield, and Barry White. But then you got the 80s and 90s, Whitney Houston, Luther Vandross, Alea even,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Teddy Pendergrass. I do.
Go back. Let's go back to the advent of rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, and this goes back to taking care to make sure that you're documenting, make sure that you're curating.
Right.
There's always the argument that too many people get left out of the conversation about who started rock and roll. Little Richard, he had to talk himself into people remembering who he was and what he meant to the
Mm-hmm.
genre.
Mm-hmm.
Sister Rosetta Tharpe wasn't mentioned until well after she passed on.
Yeah.
The blues influence on rock and roll. So there's a group of people who did not, to me, do enough to make sure that the narrative included them in part of the story.
Yeah.
Jazz, on the other hand, I think is a little bit different. We know who started jazz. We know the roots of jazz. Hip hop, I think, is a little bit different. They did a great job. Hip hop has done a great job of making sure it's understood where its genesis comes from,
Yeah.
and its pillars.
Yeah.
House music, and I know you're not necessarily a house music fan, did not do a good job in terms of curating their history and making sure people knew what its genesis is.
Mm-hmm.
So there are certain, and now it's turned into EDM, and it's this thing that,
Mm-hmm.
it's this European thing more
Yeah.
than it is a Chicago thing or a Detroit thing,
Yeah.
which is where, techno started as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not careful, people will take your story, dilute it, and you end up not having the legacy that it should have had.
Yeah.
Is my point.
And call me naive, but I chalk that up to the system more than I do musicians from an aggregate perspective, because the one thing I love about sports and music is that it transcends race, meaning that the best athletes, the best musicians want to play with the best musicians, the best athletes. And you look at the musicians in the 60s and the 70s, the pure musicians, they don't care what color you're. They just play. We had Shannon Sanders on here say the same. Man, we don't care. We want to play the best, want to play with the best. But when you get into the economics of it, when you get into legacy of it, and when the majority owns the propaganda, owns television, this and that and the other, they tend to, at that time, put people that look like them ahead of what the truth was.
But to me, it's not on the musicians to tell the story. It's on other people to tell the broader
you
story.
didn't say that with Elvis. You said Elvis should have told more.
No. That's different. Elvis shared his truths,
Right.
but there weren't media that was sharing the parts of the story that he was trying to share.
System more.
The system,
right?
But not to take away from the Elvis part of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have somebody talking about Little Richard as being a pioneer, somebody talking about Rosetta Tharpe as being a pioneer,
mm-hmm.
somebody who knows that that's the part of the genesis. If you don't have
mm-hmm.
somebody talking about that, that's where you lose out. That's what I'm saying.
Well, and you know who I hold responsible for that? People that look like them. I think I would expect people that look like them to do it more so than people that don't.
And so going to hip hop.
Okay.
The guys, for whatever reason, people in New York made sure that their story was being told. And maybe because New York is the center of media and entertainment, they were able to glean from that and share their story and make sure that it's understood that this is something that started in the Bronx by these people, this kind of party, and they curated their history. They did an excellent job at curating their history. I don't think there's anybody who will argue the history of hip hop. I just think that we need to be more intentional about our art and about our history and about the things that we produce. The people who produce those things need to be more intentional about how they take care of that legacy. Yeah. That's really my point.
Yeah.
So even as individuals, I'm getting to the point where it's okay to take the pictures. It's okay to document that you've been here and that you've been there and that you've done these things. Mm-hmm. Not because you want to show off, but because this may be something that you can use as part of explaining to your kids and your progeny where they came from.
Right.
I don't know if we've done, not every family has that Bible that has every single one of the mothers and fathers that were in it because somebody decided it wasn't important to take time to document that information.
Right.
But it's a powerful thing when you can look through that and see your great, 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 great grandmother, your great, great, great grandfather and so forth. in your family, what their names were, and the fact that they had this keepsake that they passed all the way down.
So somebody got to do the work, though. So
Somebody gotta do the work.
So like in my family, call him Uncle Junior, but it's Uncle Amos. I was 40 years old, thought his name was Junior. And everybody called him Junior.
Hopefully he was a junior, though.
I didn't know no better. I'm naive, man. So I always call him Uncle Junior. My mom called him Uncle Junior. You know, mama called him Clay. I'm
No, I got you.
So, but he's the one that would talk about the family history and Grandpa Bill and all these different people, but he did the work. But no one else is doing that kind of work. You know what I mean? And so he's 88 years old. What happens when he passes on?
I know.
Do I do it? Do my cousin do it? Do this? Do we care enough to do it? So, I mean, there's responsibility, to your point, within ourselves to research or to keep going what's already there.
Yeah.
You know?
And I just think we, as individuals, need to make sure that we consider that as important. We consider that as pertinent, and we take a little bit of time and effort just to keep those traditions going.
Especially with the technology we have.
Yeah, you got Legacy 20, all these different Ancestry 20, Ancestry.com, all these different things that you can use as tools right now. So
but even sitting in front of a video and talking about
documenting that stuff.
Getting your 90-year-old grandmother, if you blessed to have one, still here. I mean, my grandmother lived to Grandma Roberta. She was 92. But I just wasn't there mentally to put her in front of a video and have that conversation. My mom is 86 and her brother is 88. And my mom still drives, still cook, clean, she still drink her Crown. You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, I need to put it in front of a video camera. When I'm talking it, but I got to do it.
Yep.
So that legacy. So, my oldest son just had his first child. I'm a grandpa, y'all. So, Logan, baby Logan.
Cheers to that.
Appreciate that. Baby Logan. He's 3 weeks old, living in sunny Southern California. But Logan will meet my mom, but he may not be 30 years old when, and she still be here. But it'd be nice to have that on video to talk about the legacy of who his grandmother holding that. Yeah. And so, but that stuff takes work.
It does.
It's just like a family reunion, and who gonna take the pictures? You hope that someone love to take pictures, because I don't like taking pictures. You leave that on me, that shit ain't happen. But it's important enough.
It is. And I'm realizing how important some of these things are. And as the days go by.
Yeah.
And I'm joyful to even be able to look back and see some of the pictures of people who have transitioned on and still be able to see the moments that we shared together.
Right.
I'm not a picture guy.
Right.
I'm gonna be in the moment. I'm gonna have fun with you, that kind of stuff while we're in the moment. But I'm transitioning. I'm changing my mindset to say, hey, it's okay to take a moment out to do that.
But when we look at the different genres of music, when you look at soul and R&B and rock and pop and acid rock, it segregates, if you really think about it, because it's a different style of music. But I think the system segregates it, but I think the actual musicians, they get it, because you could see when Prince went and jammed with Pearl Jam or jammed with the Eagles, and these settings that you didn't know that they were doing that, because they were all guitars, and Prince was good.
Or when Prince tried to hook up with Miles Davis or whatever. I don't think there's any. And Shannon mentioned this when we had him on the show.
Yeah.
Nobody tries to pigeonhole themselves into being a R&B singer or a rock singer. They just sing. They just sing. They just do. They're just art. So.
That's why We Are the World project was so important, because that what's his name? The Quincy Jones.
Oh, okay.
Quincy, Michael, and your boy from Tuskegee. What's wrong? Lionel Richie. They were the three main ones that put all that thing together. But they brought everyone from all different genres in, because we are the world.
We are the world. Exactly.
And I mean, to me, that's the perfect example of everyone coming together for the same causes. And musicians, They don't care, man. They came together and they did that thing, and all of them, from Cyndi Lauper to Huey Lewis to Stevie Wonder, and they all got in there and they sung the way Bob Dylan, they sung the way they sung, and it came out
Whether it
perfectly,
was
man.
soulful, whether it was country, whatever.
Yeah,
They
Willie
just
Nelson. I mean, but it was perfect because they were so different and they were who they were, but it worked. It worked. It was the perfect combination of people from different genres that came together, and it was a perfect gumbo, as I would like to say, from New Orleans.
yeah, and I don't think that we've had a moment like that since. I mean, they tried to do the Sun City thing, and I think
Yeah.
there might have been another Feed the World or whatever, but
Mhm.
it never reached the same
Never like
heights
that.
as We Are the World.
And you know, that as good as that came out, I mean, it had stressful
Oh yeah,
moments
absolutely.
within that. So whenever you bring geniuses together like that, that's used to being the lead and have to step back and take,
Man,
you know,
can you imagine those folks have,
direction.
and not only take direction, but to be backup singers, to be choral singers, not
Yeah.
have a prominent part. You just a face in the doggone
Mm.
crowd. I think it takes a collective group of people to define what a time period is.
Yeah.
Whether it's the We Are the World time period and those people coming together for a common cause,
Mm.
whether it was jazz and in the birth of jazz and it becoming this mainstream thing that they want us to document.
Mhm.
Um, whether it's hip hop, rock and roll, any of that stuff, even
Yeah.
even movements in time, there are eras in all different aspects of our lives.
Yeah.
And I think the main thing for me is that it's not about the self-aggrandizing or the self-promotion part of capturing your time,
Mhm.
but your life is an era. My life is an era.
Yeah.
Everybody's life is a particular era
Yeah.
in time, a particular part of time. And
I
we just need to be more mindful to take care of the time that we have
Yeah.
and make sure that people understand what you were able to do,
Yeah.
what impact you had while you were here,
Oh,
and making sure that the next generation
right.
understands that so that they can do something with it and it becomes a foundation for them.
Generally speaking, I got more time behind me than I
Oh
do
yeah.
ahead of
Oh
me.
yeah.
And I never thought I would be in this, just as a kid growing up, I never thought I'm 55 years old. I'm like, man,
Hmm.
I used to be the youngest in the group. Now I'm the
Yeah.
elder
Yeah.
in the group giving advice to
Yep.
younger people, but I am confident and I'm good where I'm at that, but my time is limited as far as what's in the future. So, I got to prepare my family, my sons, my wife, everyone as far as the legacy of leave behind. I think what we need to do as a people, as all people, is prepare better. And because that's a problem when you don't prepare and then that time comes suddenly and then the people that
I
are
love
left behind have to have the debt, have the responsibility, have this and that and the third, blase skip, and then they're stressed there.
it. Hmm.
So we don't want to do that. But when we talk about from a music standpoint, um, history tells us that the next era is ready.
Oh yeah.
When you look from jazz to bebop to soul to R&B to
Mhm.
rock to all of it, the next generation is ready. So I remember talking to Kenny Lattimore, and I was asking him the state of the music right now. He said, John,
Mhm.
we're in good hands. He mentioned people like Lucky Day and
Mhm.
some other people that were ready to take the reins and go to the next level. My point was he wasn't concerned. And he wasn't done. He's not done. Kenny's one of the best singers in the world, best music in the world, in my opinion. But he was confident in what the future was coming as well because he was reaching out to the younger group, and the younger group was reaching out as well.
The only thing that I'd say in regards to that is and this is for any person, any individual, just be mindful of what you are leaving behind.
Mm.
Be mindful of what
Yeah.
you are um what's going to be a part of your legacy.
Mhm.
Um and what impact that's going to have on the next generation. If you're not,
Yeah.
and I'll just leave it at that. You can decide that you want to make sure that people grow, make sure people know, and make sure people are ready to go forward.
Mhm.
Or you can just be about self, or you can just be about whatever it is that you're going through right now.
Yeah.
But just be mindful of the fact that you are creating a legacy for somebody.
Yeah. And to your initial question about eras ending, I think we should have respect for the era that
Yeah.
ended,
Yep.
understand it, know the history right, and the legacy that they have, and take that to the next level.
Yep.
You know, it's just like having a son or daughter. Every man I know want their son to be better than them.
Absolutely.
You want your son to be better than you.
Absolutely.
I want all three of my boys to be 100-fold better than I am.
Yep.
I pray that every day. There's no ego in me that want to be the king and this and that and the third.
And I got to make sure I say this too.
Yeah.
Just because like an era has passed, it doesn't mean that it was perfect. Doesn't mean that it was the best. Doesn't mean that it was, or the worst.
Yeah.
Take what you can from it. You can learn went well, but you can also learn about what didn't go well. That don't mean you got to throw it away. That don't mean that. I hate to hear those old the people who had the T-shirt that says "I'm not my ancestors" type of thing.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
You definitely ain't the ones who jumped off of the boat. The whole mindset. If I was getting part of the transatlantic slave trade, I just would have jumped off the boat. No, those people died. They didn't have a legacy. Unfortunately, their line ended at that point. But the ones who did make it through that particular part, those are the ones who have a legacy. Those are the ones who, again, you can learn from, you can grow from, whether it's the right things or the wrong things. But don't just dismiss it and don't just take it for granted. That's to me, man, paramount. You just can't. You have to understand what people went through, understand what people left behind. You just can't just dismiss it.
Well, pressure burst pipes.
Yep.
And many people say they will do what they. You went biblical, so I'm gonna go biblical. Peter told Jesus, "I never deny you. I never ever." Well, you're gonna deny me 3 times before the cock crow. All right. Man, he was there at the fire warming his hand.
That was one.
That was one. The second time he cursed people out.
That was 2.
Mother, didn't I tell you? Third time. Yep. Look, you said it again. We're going to have a situation. Furniture going to be moving up here. Point is, man, that's why we shouldn't judge, because you never know how you're going to act or what you're going to do in certain situations. So when people say, I never do that, don't say that. But when it comes to music, when it comes to legacy, I think it's a matter of respect, understand that come before you, you respect that, and there's a responsibility on both sides to keep it going. Yep. But that new generation got to want it. He may be the most talented, or she may be talented, but if he don't want it, I can't force it into.
Nope.
It may be that less talented person that works 3 times harder than them that want it, that's pressing me for information, that I give it to more than that person more talented. And what we used to say, a mind's a terrible thing to waste. It's a shame.
Yeah.
It'd be one of those situations, but this person that worked harder came and got it.
Yeah. Talent without that work effort, though, is a waste. Yeah. You can only go so far with talent. Your work ethic will take you a lot farther. Than just talent. See, back to your point, like you were talking about how you just continue to knock on the door and ask for that, and ask that recruiter what the status was with the GM job. Yeah,
I look back at some of the dumb shit I did, but you know what? Hey,
you got the result.
It got the result. You know what I'm saying? And I thank God that He made me unaware of it, because if I was aware of what I was doing, I would have never done it. I was oblivious to how crazy that was to do every single day.
I think Mike Epps said something about it in one of his last Netflix specials. You got to be a little delirious or a little crazy in order to advance and do some of the things that are out of the norm. Till the next episode of Connoisseurs Conversations, we at it.